Everyone, and welcome to our very first Shreveport-Bossier City Advocate Economic Summit. Over the next hour, we are going to travel far and wide with an impressive group of panelists here at the front of the room. So I want you to hang on to your seat and stay with us. I'm Liz Swain, the business editor for the Shreveport-Bossier City Advocate. Last week, hopefully many of you know this, and if you don't, shame on you, we launched our very first business newsletter that comes out every Tuesday and Friday. And I would love to say to you with complete confidence that if you want to be in the know, you want to sign up for that newsletter. I don't know if Brenda Guess has signed up for the newsletter, but by golly, after today, I guarantee she will. Ms. Guess is one of our experts today, and I am thrilled that she has made the trip to be with us from Baton Rouge. She is small business all the time. That is her heart, that is her passion, and that is her job. A Louisiana native, Ms. Guess is the Assistant Secretary of the Louisiana Economic Development, chiefly responsible for growing entrepreneurial and small businesses. Small businesses and startups, as you all know, especially those of you in the banking sector, those of you working with businesses, know that there are tremendous challenges to small businesses and entrepreneurial startups. And Ms. Guess has been trying to help in that regard with a variety of initiatives, including the State Small Business Credit Initiative, in which LED partners with financial institutions to give those small businesses a pathway to capital, which is so very important for all businesses, not just small businesses. She's familiar with tax incentives and other state programs, all part of her quest to make small businesses stable, functional, and strong. Justyn Dixon is the president and CEO of North Louisiana Economic Partnership, NLEP, an organization that serves as a real catalyst and a conduit to jobs and capital investments in 14 parishes. So he is on the road quite a bit. But what I really am impressed with when it comes to Justyn is that he is boots on the ground. He's one of those, and he's not wearing his boots today because his boots were very dirty, caked with mud because he's been tromping around some of these economic sites. But he meets prospects at the airport, he drives them to potential sites, and he finds out, this is why he's important, he finds out in microscopic clarity what these businesses see that they like and respond to, and what makes them pack their bags and run away. Sometimes it's more important to know what they don't like than to know what they like. Knowing the reasons why companies and developers make the decisions that they make makes this man very important to our business community. And Doug White, the numbers guy. He knows numbers, and even more important, he knows the underlying reasons for those numbers. You know, you can take numbers on a page, and you got numbers on a page, but what do they mean? What does it mean to your community, to your businesses, to your developers? As the director for the Center for Business and Economic Research, he's responsible for not only collecting the data, but presenting it in ways that make sense to those people who don't understand numbers. Doug has a strong interest as well in housing affordability, which I was happy to see, and he's currently the chair of Census Information Center's Steering Committee, and the census is always important to our communities in North Louisiana for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is money that comes from the federal government. So there's our panel. Very impressive group. Thank you all for being here. And Doug, boom, we start with you.
All right.
All right. And I told the panel before we got started to jump in. If there is anything that you hear, do not let me get in your way.
I got a problem with you starting with Doug.
Justyn.
Okay.
Doug, numbers are like a look into a crystal ball. All right? We were just talking about the numbers that you just seen about casinos for January, and they were a little bit concerning, a little bit alarming to you. But every quarter you create something called a dashboard that's available online. It includes everything under the sun. It includes everything from tax collections and building permits to casino revenue to airport traffic to gas prices. I mean, it's a microcosm of our community. It's a look at our community in numbers. We know what the numbers tell us, but what do the numbers not tell us?
So, when we started the dashboard, the idea was that people had all this anecdotal data that we know this, right? So one of the first things we did, we looked at mobility. So everyone's like, oh, the common thought was people are moving from Shreveport to Bossier.
Right.
Well, when you look at the data, that's not true. Basically, the movement was pretty equal across the river, both ways. So the idea was that people have this idea of data, or oh, all my neighbors moved over to Bossier, so that's what's going on. And the idea, the whole point, at least in my view, of the center is I want to make the numbers, the data available so people can make informed decisions so that when you make the decision, it's based on real numbers. What do the numbers not tell us? I think that how do I want to phrase this? I don't want to say manipulate, but numbers can lie, or they can shade data that, so we can point to numbers and say, oh, well, the numbers look good. Why are people unhappy? If you read the papers or listen to the news, you've heard people talk about what we're calling the vibe session, that, all these numbers look good, but people aren't happy. And so why is that? And my personal opinion is it's like grocery prices are high. People are paying more for groceries than they were 2 years ago, despite what the numbers say. You can pull out, there's a grocery statistic that says prices aren't nearly as high as people are reporting. Well, the reason for that is the way they calculate the statistic isn't based on the way they do the CPI. So the CPI is a weighted basket of goods. It's the same goods every semester, or every week, every month, every quarter when you're measuring it. Well, the grocery statistic doesn't use the same goods. It looks at how much money do you spend, whereas what happens is you may be spending the same amount of money or spending slightly more money at the store, but you're not getting the same goods you were 2 years ago. So instead of buying steaks, you're buying chicken. Instead of buying, maybe the fresh vegetables, you're buying canned vegetables. And so that's how a number can lie or can hide the truth.
Let me jump right in. When you say numbers lie, I think it's not so much that the numbers lie, because the numbers are the numbers.
Right.
It's how people are responding to the numbers, or or their response to what's going on. You look at the numbers and the numbers look good, and you think people should be happy. They should be excited. The economy is not nearly as bad as people feel like it is, but people's response to that is not your response.
Right. You also have to, I guess, I don't want to say the numbers lie, but you have to look at how those numbers are calculated. So one of the big ones is unemployment, right? Unemployment's at historic lows. Why are people unhappy? Well, if you dig a little deeper into those numbers, you'll see that while unemployment is low, the part-time work is slightly higher than it was in the past. So even though your numbers are low, people maybe aren't getting the full-time jobs that they want. So yes, they're working, yes, they're making money, but they're not in a full-time job, so they're not happy about that. Or, great, you have a job, but it's not the same job you had 2 years ago, so you're making slightly less money. Again, the numbers look good, unemployment's low, but if you start to dig into those numbers a little bit, there's more to the story than just the number.
I'm going to talk to Brenda about one of the jobs that she had when she was younger, and that was a soda jerk. Many of you probably did not realize that being a soda jerk when you were a very small girl would lead to you being nearly the head of the LED.
Yeah,
I mean, you've played many roles in your life. Now, and that was a small business. Did that business belong to your uncle, was it?
It was belonging to my uncle. He was a pharmacist located in Dayton, Ohio. And during the summers, we would go as a family to visit him. And he may have had someone to work in the store, someone in his pharmacy. But the kids, my cousin and I, we were excited to be the salespeople, and maybe that's where we got our customer service skills. I certainly, and when I say soda jerk, I just dated myself. Maybe two people in here might know what that is. You've probably seen it in some of the movies where somebody makes you a soda from the soda fountain.
That's right, and put the cherry on top, and maybe the root beer float.
And pick your flavors, and but that was the first time that I, in retrospect, it thought about how did someone owning their own business, affect what I eventually ended up doing. Now I was probably a young girl, probably 10, 12, 13 years old. But it was so much fun to go and help to see my uncle's store, you know, him being the pharmacist.
And it was a small business.
And it was a very small business.
Very small business, probably, was it first generation business
First
maybe?
generation.
So that really helped inform what you're doing today.
Absolutely.
And you deal with small businesses every day. That is your job, as I mentioned, your job, your vocation, and your avocation. So what are the things out there that trip small businesses up?
The things that trip small businesses is sometimes they don't know what they don't know, you know, and it's probably listening to the other experts, you know, that try to give them guidance. Everybody wants to find out, you know, well, where's the money? But everybody's not ready for money, you know, at all at the same time.
I'm looking at bankers in the audience.
I know I'm at church now.
Yeah, that's right, right.
I've got the amen corner nodding their heads, you know, because, you know, one of the things is that, sure, you may need the money, but we have to take the time to understand what it's going to take for you to be able to go and sit and talk to a banker to help you get that money. And a lot of times we hear people talking about, well, how much can I get? Well, that's not the question. You know, it's really you have to do the numbers, like you said. The numbers are what tells the story. To have them develop a business plan to determine exactly what it is they're going to do, what they're going to need, and then they can go in and talk intelligently and find out how much it is, you know, that you're going to do that. I've been doing this with LED over 30 years, and I'm a recovering banker, so I
Love it.
people nodding, and so dealing with small business people since I've been with LED, it's the same reoccurring theme every year. You know, there's an education that you have to get them to all business owners across the board to the table so that they can listen to find out exactly what it is that they don't know and slow them down. You're not trying to be a naysayer because we often get tabbed as I went to talk to so-and-so and they wouldn't listen to me, they didn't give me this. Well, but there's a small percentage of those that do listen. And if we have to save them, bring them one at a time. But that's the biggest thing is that the patients, slowing them down, get them to listen, and then we're ready for all of the other resources that are available, not only on the state level, but on the local level. And then there's some with the federal level that they can take advantage of.
So Brenda is working with small businesses, trying to nurture them so that they can become larger businesses. Justyn, you work almost exclusively with larger manufacturers and developers and things of that nature. And so I've got a question for you. When you've got one of these prospects, what is more important to a community looking to land one of them? To have a great site for them to build on and a job-ready workforce, or to be litter-free with great infrastructure and citizens who enjoy a high quality of life? In other words, what should cities be putting their money into? Did I just set that up great for you?
It's the proverbial chicken and egg.
Yes, it is.
It really is. First of all, thank you for letting me come.
I consider
both.
not letting you come.
I understand. It's both. And let me explain this to you. So we compete with other states, all the states around us that are putting a lot of money into site development. Go Google it. Just Alabama yesterday just announced they're going to put $30 million into site development. We've gotten 8 in this state, and you're looking at the company that paid to get that 8. So we've got to focus on that, because what happens is companies do the desktop searches for sites. It's speed to market. You think about whatever you feel like with the Inflation Reduction Act, that put a ton of money into the market. That put a lot of parameters that companies had to check to be able to sell their wares and get that money. And they had to go find these sites. That was the first thing. The second thing, and the third thing. So if you don't have a site,
Right.
doesn't matter. Having said that, and we deal with consultants, KPMG, Ernst & Young, across the board. Once these consultants have found a site, typically they'll come into the community 3, 4, 5 times before we ever get the phone call. So that if they go in our beloved steakhouse and they ask the waiter, what do you think about this place? They're going to listen to them. If they go into the Hampton Inn and they see Jackie, and I talked to Jackie, they're going to listen to them. So, both of them are extremely important. I will tell you, in my mind, the site's always going to win out, but just barely. And you might not even know you lose. Answer your question?
That was a good answer.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to put all of you on the hot seat, so feel free to jump in on this question. We're going to talk about all the things that we have going for us as a community, and we have tech, we have shale, we have gaming, we have medicine, we have the military, we have our unique place in the country in terms of transportation. So what basket should we be putting eggs into? Brenda?
I think all of them.
Can you have it all?
You can have
Absolutely.
it all. But you have to prioritize, and Justyn is the expert with the development side and what companies look for. We have to, we've got a dozen eggs, let's say, or let's take the 18-pack eggs.
The big pack.
The big pack. So we may not put all of the same number of eggs in each basket, but there's got to be something in each basket because they're different technologies. We want to make sure that we're reaching all of the corners. We don't want to be in a position where we're siloed and one-dimensional because that will stifle all of our growth. All of the businesses that we look at, the state works with NLEP, with Justyn's organization. We do it with partnership, and no one organization can do it by themselves. We all partner with each other. We're on the same team, and we do those goals. But the spinoff of these industries will spill, and a lot of people think we just make our decisions on the larger businesses, but we're talking about the multiplier effect, where the big company comes in, but yet a small company might be someone that supplies the items for that company. They can do that. So that's my take. I say we'll put all of our eggs in the basket. The sky's the limit, and sometimes we can oftentimes be our own worst enemy by not going after. And you're not going to win them all the time, but you at least have to try.
I think being our own worst enemy, I think we do a terrible job of promoting all the great things that Shreveport-Bossier has to offer, especially from a quality of life standpoint. So we're in the process on the university of bringing people into campus for job interviews.
And this is LSUS.
This is LSUS. What's the first thing I get asked about? Oh, I did a Google search on Shreveport crime. And it's like, okay, right. I'm not going to say we don't have issues, but it's very localized, which again, is not to say we shouldn't focus on it and do something about it. But when you look at general, I joked with you when we were talking, there's kind of two types of Shreveportians and Bossier people who grew up here and the people who either moved away and came back or moved here for a job. People who grew up here, they take for granted all the good things that we have and they focus on the problems. Where those of us who moved here, we're like, oh my God, there's so much going on. We have, Prize Fest. I think our restaurants and our culinary scene punches way above its weight.
Yeah.
It's the art scene. If you, I'm not a big casino person, but if you like casinos, they give you, that opportunity that, we have a lot of good stuff going for it. And when a lot of people just kind of take it for granted and we don't promote it and we don't use that to our advantage.
I think you had some comments.
Wait, no, a lot. I just can't remember them. I think you're exactly right. My daughter and her boyfriend came in from beloved Dallas this weekend. And we went and ate at 3 different restaurants. And it was 20 minutes to get to every single one of them. That's not a lie. You can get anywhere in the city in 20 minutes. She can't get out of her parking lot in 20 minutes in Dallas. And I'm not kidding.
Right.
I totally agree. I'm going to say what I said to a group last week. We have a self-image problem that we have to fix. If I was going to fix one thing today, I think that would be it. Here's why. All of us, lots of partners, are getting ready to drop 12 to 1,500 jobs into this community as we speak. SLB is hiring $80,000 a year jobs. Prolec GE, same thing. Amazon, and that's just those. Those are new ones. Existing industries are hiring too. If you want to find a good paying job, you can find it here, okay? Secondly, if you don't like Bossier Shreveport, this is probably the best job market nationally that's been out there in forever. I know because I've talked to people and they're getting thrown ridiculous amounts of money to take jobs. If you don't like it here, there's an opportunity to go find another job somewhere. So then you got to think about the third thing. Maybe people just want to fuss a little bit. And maybe that's been there. And maybe we got to figure out how we do that. That's my thoughts on it.
I was actually going to ask you about that because that was a quote you had given to another media outlet maybe a couple of days ago. You said, there are a lot of things going on here, and if anyone says elsewise, they are probably wanting to be negative.
Could be, could be. I mean, sometimes you have to look for it. You know, I had a conversation with another outlet, and, you know, well, we don't like this because we don't have any good grocery stores. Okay? Let me tell you something. I come from the land of bad grocery stores, okay? You know, I mean, you can go in the grocery stores here and you can get any cut of meat you want. I mean, and I know that's such an isolated instance, but sometimes you're just looking for it. And I understand we have our challenges. I get it. I get it. I see it every day. You know, if it bleeds, it leads. But there are a lot of great things going on.
Yeah, and one of the things we have to do as a state, we have to tell our own story
100%.
a lot better. You know,
How do we do that, Brenda? What do we use? What are the key words that are going to attract people and change their minds? I mean, this is a great conversation, but it is a conversation we have had for years.
I know.
For years, especially in the Shreveport-Bossier City area.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like, you know, the why Shreveport, you know, why Louisiana?
Right.
You know, you say, well, why not? You know, and you plus out your good points. You know, the arts side, the other areas that Shreveport is known for. Somebody, my colleague who was traveling with us today, she's on site inspections, and you know, we have good things here. You know, but she asked me, what is Shreveport known for? You know, and I had to stop and think. You know, I said, well, in what way? You know, we were looking for a restaurant last night, and so we found one. I took her to one, but it's kind of like it's you have to find what is that best thing, and prioritize it, and then just let everybody know. And it's still a situation that we're still trying to solve is how do we do it? And every administration that I've served under, I tell people, this is not my first rodeo. This is rodeo number 8.
Oh, wow.
But the challenge is, and the beautiful part about it is that you look forward to another group coming in and putting a twist on it and see how we're going to put our state out there to do what we need to do. So it's still an ongoing situation where we don't really have the answer right now, but I think we're all working on trying to at least tell it better. Just don't know how right now to tackle that.
Doug, do the numbers tell us any direction that we should be going in terms of our messaging?
Well, I think one of the things we could stress, especially in today's world of remote work and being able to live maybe wherever you want and still have your job, we have an abundance of relatively affordable housing. If you want to own your house, Shreveport-Bossier is a great place to live. You know, off the top of my head, I think the median price was right around $200,000. So
I've got a great story that I'll remember after you're finished.
right, so you know,
Or maybe I won't.
$200,000, you're gonna get a very, you know, imagine buying a $200,000 home in Dallas or, you know, Little Rock or somewhere. You're not gonna get nearly the same house you are here. We have except for last night, we have relatively good internet connection and stuff so you can work from here. We have the university. Our MBA program and our MHA program are one of the leaders in the country for going online, building the 21st century classroom. We're working on improving face-to-face experience, trying to get more students on campus, upgrading the campus. In the business college, we're going to have a new student innovation center, which come out and see when it opens in about a month. If you're looking for a space to have a meeting, I'll throw the college out there to volunteer that. We have a lot of good stuff, and we have a relatively affordable cost of living, which in today's world of you have the ability to locate. And even if you have to go somewhere else every now and then, people like to badmouth the airport, but the airport's great. I mean, people say it's too expensive. Really? I have to argue with that. I've been able to fly out of Shreveport relatively. We flew to Spain 2 weeks ago, and the tickets were very reasonable. So, I think, we are a very affordable place to live, and we should market that.
Well, when you factor in having the drive time to the Dallas
Right.
area, having to spend the night, probably having to park your car and all that sort of thing, it can be much more
Right.
Inexpensive here. So the story I wanted to tell, you may have been at the BRF annual meeting a few weeks ago, and they had a really wonderful, dynamic speaker. Yes. Marcy Roussel, Dr. Roussel. And at the very end, there were question and answer, and somebody said, how should we market Shreveport-Bossier area? And she said, oh, without a doubt. She said, every 20 miles between here and Dallas, there need to be billboards saying that the median house price in the Shreveport-Bossier City area is about $200,000 because people will be amazed. You just can't find a good house in most markets for anywhere near that. And she said, and the other billboards need to be Cajun Asian. What is that?
Yes.
She was really taken with the fact that we have this weird fusion of restaurants locally.
Yeah.
But she was talking about the food, the quality of the food culture in North Louisiana, and the cost of living, and again, quality of life plays into all that. And Justyn, you had spoken to me about when you lived in Mississippi. And you lived near Jackson, Mississippi, in a suburb of Jackson. And I think all of us have been following the travails of Jackson, the water issues and other issues that they are dealing with as a southern city that has not been well funded over the years. And you were telling me that the attitudes of people, even in Jackson, were upbeat. So there's no reason why our issues, which are far less, it seems, than some of the things they've been dealing with, why we shouldn't be upbeat as well.
100%. They don't have water in Jackson, Mississippi, okay? I used to be able to say that more emphatically. I lost a little water this past year, but that's okay. We're going to get back. But you don't hear the constant negative, okay? And at some point, we just have to move along and, like I said, stop listening to it and report on the positive. Let me put a factual number on it. And if I could do this, and this is not my lane, can't do it, I would do a marketing campaign to the working class of Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio. And I would say, if you want to have a better paying job where you gain an extra 2.5 weeks of time a year, and I'll quantify that for you. My daughter, 5 minutes away, 5 miles away is what her office is. She loses between 2 and 4 hours a week being stuck in traffic in Dallas. That's normal. That's not an outlier. That's normal, okay? So now you're looking at somewhere between 8 to 16, 1 to 2 days a month, okay? 12 to 15, 12 to 18 days a year just by not being stuck in traffic. Start there. Now, don't start with the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year people like Liz. Start with the people, the working class, because that's where you're going to build it from. And you can get them to look. Same thing with what you were talking about, the billboards every day. Quality of life, quality of life, quality of life. It's here if you look for it. Do we have challenges? Yes, absolutely. Every place has challenge. One more thing I'll say, and it's fascinating. And y'all, God, he talks about his daughter a lot. Well, she costs me a lot of money, so I get to. So I was moving her in 3 years ago, and she lives in Uptown Dallas. Who all knows where Uptown is? Best place in the world you can live if you're making $100,000 a year coming out of college. I can't fathom that. It's restaurants, bars, parks, everything, all within walking distance. So I'm moving her in, and I'm listening to one of these crime shows. And some of you have heard me say this, but it's God's honest truth. And it said, oh, the time was 1990. Y'all seen it before. 1996, and crime was rampant. Uptown Dallas was the murder capital of the country. Think about that. That's not that long ago. Mm-hmm. Things can change. Now, once again, gets out of my lane. And so, let that sit in. I'm not going to expand upon that, but there's similarities probably. But there's things we can do. What we do is bring the jobs and capital investment in. That's what we try to do as NLEP. We just did our numbers this year, $460 million in CapEx. Angie, help me if I get wrong. Roughly 1,200 jobs just in 2023. These are good paying jobs across our footprint, which is 11 parishes, not 14.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Did you
okay.
lose
It's
some
probably
parishes?
on me. We can call it that. But we can, the whole point is we can win here. We've shown that. That was just this year. We did the same thing or more last year and the same thing or more the year before. And oh, by the way, we lost 4 or 5 times. You can win here. People want to come here. You can reach 4 of the fastest growing cities in the country from this spot. Right. I'm telling my whole speech for Thursday night. That's our banquet, by the way. But it's true. It's absolutely true. If you want to make something and have a place to sell it to 80, 100 million people, there's not a better place to pull from. So we just got to keep pushing forward and push through the data. I'm sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
I also think to add to that, we have these 2 great organizations promoting to bring jobs here, but I also think there's a really strong entrepreneurial spirit that doesn't require organizations like this. If you look around, like I'm looking at Amanda back here with Fat Calf that just got named one of the best restaurants. You think of Zazul and El Cabo and Great Raft and all these little local businesses that started within the last 10 years, and a lot of Key Mexico, I'm forgetting some, but a lot of them that started as pop-ups, as either at the farmer's market or at the, at Great Raft or Seventh Tap or whatnot, started on little, propane grills and now are mainstays of our community. And also, they've also reached out and they're helping to bring, to the next generation along to like, oh, these are the mistakes we made along the way. Don't make the same mistakes we did. Learn from our mistakes and get through it. And again, not saying we don't need organizations because we definitely need your organizations, but there's local community that people are willing to help each other and build. I joke a lot when we first moved here, pretty much sight unseen. We had been living in Reading, Pennsylvania for 4 years. Didn't really like it. Moved here to Shreveport. We're turning in the U-Haul. We had a 40-minute conversation with the guy we turned in the U-Haul, and he was joking, oh, well, I own the largest or the highest property in Shreveport, so if you miss the mountains, come out and stand on the top of my hill. and truly, when we left the U-Haul place, I turned to my wife and I said, you realize that 40-minute conversation with a local is probably longer than any conversation we had with a local in Reading, Pennsylvania. Wow. And that's the first day we're in Shreveport. So I find this community is so open and willing to help. They might, even if it's, oh, that's kind of a weird idea, but I'm sure you'll find some people to help you with it. Just go for it and try and do it. And that's not everywhere. Definitely wasn't Reading, Pennsylvania.
Brenda?
Yeah, Doug just reminded me of something when he mentioned about the restaurants. I would be remiss if I didn't. This is probably something that nobody in the past probably knew about, but when you mentioned about our SSBCI, the State Small Business Credit Initiative funding that we received from the U.S. Treasury, there were so many businesses that were part of Louisiana's lifeblood that we excluded from our rules. And restaurants are now included in our federal programming. The state we don't do direct lending. We work with the banks and other lenders within the community. And so for years, if we basically follow SBA, in providing the funding, and our banking partners are familiar with the SBA. And so restaurants were always those that were just taboo. You know, you wouldn't do anything because they were here today, gone this afternoon. We got our board of directors to put some limitations on it. So if a restaurant is more than 2 years old, even food trucks, we're trying to boost that entrepreneurial spirit. So I'll be around after this is over with, and I've got some literature. I'll be glad to share that with you in the audience. But that's just how much we have to make changes in what we do. We can do it for a gazillion years. We just have to change how we do it and those that we're trying to reach.
And those who are watching online, all of that information can be found at the LED website?
At the LED website at www.opportunitylouisiana.com.
You make a really important point about changing the rules for businesses, for restaurants in particular. And in many cases, I have been told that Black entrepreneurs will often gravitate toward restaurant and food-related businesses as perhaps the first business, the first generation of business. This past weekend, there was an event at Southern University Shreveport, which participates in economic development forums quite a lot, called the State of Black Shreveport. And there was a panel discussion there, and a lot of it, the day had to deal with the fact that Black entrepreneurs over time have had higher bars to meet, challenges to overcome. How is your office trying to level the playing field in that regard?
We've got a toolbox that for not only the African American groups, but for all small businesses, you know, because they all suffer from the same thing. You know, not everybody was, you know, born with family members who left them a pile of money. You know, everybody has to start from the ground up. And I think that probably in the African American community, and just like some other communities, it's heightened by the fact that there are less of those businesses. But the tools that we have with the access to capital, the certifications, how to deal with procurement opportunities within state government, we're preparing to raise everybody up. And it's kind of like if we raise all groups up, we all come up. And so I think that's the way we have managed. And I know that under the leadership of our current Secretary Susan Bourgeois and with Governor Landry, we're going to continue in that manner. So those are the things that we do. And we're taking an assessment. We listen to the business people, the banking community. In fact, one of the things that when we were looking at the SSBCI qualifications, one program that we developed was a collateral support program. Everybody knows about the loan guarantee program, similar to what SBA had to offer. The state has had one for a while, but that collateral support program will help the banks help the small business who has a shortfall in collateral. You know, the bank will still require the collateral, but say that, you know, you need to do a $100,000 loan, you know, and, you know, we have to make sure that our lending community, you know, makes a $100,000 loan. You know, almost just as much work to do a $100,000 loan as it is a $5,000 loan or a $1 million loan. So if there's a shortfall in the collateral that's required, then the state will place a cash deposit to the bank, in the bank,
Wow.
to encourage to help mitigate that risk that the bank will be taking. So
That is a great program.
that's a great program. So the bankers have said, you know, when we were looking at, and back in 2022, when we were looking at developing our application for the feds, what is it that we need? And as we canvassed and sent out surveys throughout the state to our lending community and other partners, small business partners, it was determined that that was the program that would be best. So we tweak our programs ever so often so that we can make sure we're getting the best capacity out of it.
Could you tweak that to give me some more money?
I think everybody's thinking that. Yeah, we have an amazing opportunity right now, and his name is Mike Johnson. And he's the House Speaker, heartbeat away, 2 heartbeats away from the presidency. What should we be asking him to help us do in North Louisiana in terms of business expansion, business retention, attracting new businesses? Are you in contact with him?
Embrace corruption. I'm kidding. Come on, folks. Go. You okay back there? Listen, he is what you see. You know, if nothing else, he has put the spotlight on Northwest Louisiana.
Right, absolutely.
You know, and
How can
he's,
we capture that moment and turn it to our good in terms of
I think it's getting out there
businesses.
and just, as far as our organization, is getting out there and working hard to get people to realize that we have talent up there. That's the lowest denominator.
Is there any funding that he can direct our way?
Oh, there's always. Everybody's in his office every day. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's funding that he can influence. Mm-hmm. He'd influence a lot more if he was corrupt. I'm kidding.
This
No,
guy.
absolutely, absolutely, 100%. It's been done over years, you know, but you just have to show that there's a need, show the ROI. We do that every day, especially with site development, and see what we can do to get help.
There is something that's out there, and we don't quite know yet if it's going to be impacting us, but it's definitely playing a role in South Arkansas, Northeast Texas, and that's the discovery of lithium in the brine water. And I found in a play called The Smackover, which flows down into North Louisiana. We got some oil and gas people out there, and I talked to a consultant the other day who said this could be the next Haynesville Shale in terms of the excitement, the grabbing of leases and things of that nature. Whether or not we have lithium in our brine, there are always challenges with anything that's found environmentally and otherwise. We do have an abundance of water, which a lot of parts of the country, at least up until recently, I mean, there have been amazing rainfalls in California and places like that. But to be a place that has an abundance of water, is that helpful in attracting businesses as well?
Absolutely.
Is it
in the
new-
manufacturing process, a lot of these companies use abundant amounts of water. And I'll take the port of Caddo-Bossier,
Right.
for instance. You know, they have over 10 million gallons of excess water per day. That's why we're paying for a lot of the projects that we're playing for. So, you know, yeah, that. But it's not just that, it's available power. I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges that we're going to see coming forward in this country, in this area, in the next 3 to 5 years. When we all start plugging in those EVs that we're going to be driving.
Right.
With data, so we can pick up our phones and we can figure out exactly what Fribble or whatever that was you said earlier is.
Tribble?
There you go. You know, the AI is going to absorb a ton of that power, so we have to have that. And luckily, we've got ample power here. But no, back to your point, yes, water is very important. We've got abundance over here. We need to be exploiting that every day, which we do as NLEP. Back to the lithium, is there a play? We're trying to find that out, you know, because we're not in the center of the automotive manufacturing, which is where a lot of that's going on. Mm-hmm. But do we have to pigeonhole it just to the automotive factory? Because everything's using batteries. So are there other opportunities that we should be looking at? I'm not giving up the playbook, I promise. We're looking at everything. We're pretty much aware of what's going on, and we're trying to see the possibilities.
We have some elected officials and representatives of elected officials in our audience, and we always appreciate their input and support on all of this. But when we're talking about our city and our parish and our state elected officials, what in the world do they need to be doing to position our area for success in 2024? What advice, unsolicited advice, would you give them?
Work together.
Yeah.
Work together. You know, everybody wants to talk about, I'm not going to say any city because we compete against them, but I-10 works together. We have to find a way to work together up here. And that's both across the river across the parish lines, and figure out what we can do to raise our hand high enough collectively to get what we need. We have a great elected official delegation up here. They work with us day in, day out. They're very supportive. But if we could work more together and put leverage on people that we have up in D.C. to help us, continue to help us, that's what we should be doing.
And piggybacking on what Justin just said, in working together, developing and learning about the resources. You may go to one of the cities that are not very aware of what other resources that might take place. If it's someplace outside of their jurisdiction, well, and show that spirit of working together. Well, we don't know what that county or parish, city, might have to offer, but let's find out. And I think collectively, and putting the face forward to let everybody see that there is that cooperation will get everybody on board.
I've got a couple of quick questions, and then we're going to call it a wrap. But my first question, and we are going to remind you of your answers at the end of this year.
Okay.
So be very diligent in your responses. What does 2024 hold in store for Shreveport and Bossier? Doug?
I think it's going to be a challenging year a little bit. I think that, I don't think we're going to see I don't think we're going to see the economy booming. I don't expect to really, I don't know what to expect, whether it'll slow down or just stay the way it is. But I don't expect to see the economy booming. I think we're going to have some challenges. I know Shreveport has a bond issue coming up.
Maybe, I guess.
Maybe. We haven't passed the bond issues in the past, which I know we're going to need to. I know that it's also a assessment year for the city, which means that, some of the office buildings we have downtown, I think I read somewhere that a lot of the, 25% of, not in our city, but nationwide, 25% of commercial real estate is basically overpriced now because of the change in people working from home and not coming in. The high interest rates have put those in trouble. So the thing that maybe keeps me up at night is that we could have, not necessarily citywide, but nationwide, that if we have commercial real estate crash, that it could cause a banking crisis that would then, cause issues throughout the country. But so I think it's going to be a challenging year. Hopefully, we were talking earlier, I felt like before COVID hit that I felt like Shreveport-Bossier was on this upward trajectory, and then COVID hit and kind of just slammed on the brakes. And I feel like maybe now we're starting to turn that corner again to start having that upward trajectory. Hopefully, maybe this is the last year where we're fighting against the COVID hangover, and that maybe the year after we'll start to see a real turnaround and expansion. But I would say I expect this year to be challenging, and then you throw in the whole presidential election, which, who knows how that affects everything. So
Uncertainty is never a good thing.
right. So uncertainty and challenging would be the two words I use.
Brenda?
I see the growth of small businesses here in Shreveport. We have worked in the past with all of our partners, the small business development centers, both at LSU and at Southern, and still in the area in North Louisiana. We work with our partners at NLEP, and we always appreciate their support, and we support them as well. And just I see the banking community changing a little bit here and getting more involved. I'm sorry, guys, I'm picking on you, but I did tell you I was a recovering banker. And so, because that's where it has to happen. We can develop all the programs we want, and we have the programs that require lenders to participate. So we just want to help mitigate those risks so that the numbers can go up. Give people a little bit more hope on all sides to see that small business can take off just like we are tending to the larger businesses, the ones we're trying to get the site selections for. But it can be a period of where we can just excel in expanding that growth opportunity with the small businesses in the area. I see that happening.
And Justyn?
I see it as an opportunity for success. Real estate guy, Barbara. Are you real estate back there? I thought we had the development. Okay. I did industrial real estate development for 10 years. When the cycle goes up, you enjoy it. When it goes down, you take advantage of opportunities.
Right.
So some of the jobs that we've been responsible for working with our partners to get in here, first of all, Amazon. It's going to be coming online. We're all going to keep being lazy and buying stuff from Amazon. I'm being one of them. That's not going to change. Prolec GE, as we mentioned, they're building transformers to take clean, renewable energy and put it onto the grid. We know that's not going to change with all the solar, wind, and everything that's coming on. SLB, digital infrastructure for AI, for data centers. I mean, all three of those, which are our three biggest job creators that are all coming in as we speak this year, are at the forefront of the economy. So I think we've got a great opportunity there. If it slows down, we pivot and we start developing other sites. So when the cycle comes back out, in Doug's scenario, maybe in 25, then you're ready. Manufacturing is coming back to the U.S. as we speak. We've got some data that we're looking at that shows through the end of this decade and probably beyond, manufacturing is going to be reshoring. So there's going to be opportunity. If you're going to have a bad day, there's a good one around the corner. So you can't focus on the bad. You got to go get ready for the good.
All right, there's always got to be the one wacky question, and we're going to end with the one wacky question. And if you could have one superpower to help businesses in our community, what would it be? Who wants to go first? Sorry, Brenda, you got to go first.
Okay, all right. I like being voluntold. One superpower.
Keys to the bank? X-ray vision?
Still got to be
Give
invisible.
me a crystal ball.
Crystal ball. I like a
Give me a
crystal
crystal
ball.
ball. Give me a crystal ball. And that way, we still might not help mitigate some of the missteps that we make, but we'd be at least 90% on target and maybe just 10% not on target. So I'll take a crystal ball.
I love it, being able to see into the future. That's perfect. Doug?
So I would magically increase our population of 25 to 45-year-olds. One, because they tend to spend more money. Two, they tend to be creative, so they're going to be the people who start small businesses. And three, they're just exciting. They're going to create, they're the people who are going to form bands or create the venues that get the touring acts that go Little Rock, Dallas, Houston, or Austin, Houston, and skip us. That it's like those would be the people to get those people here, which I think would help my friends who run bars and entertainment stuff. So yeah, if I could do anything, magically increase our population of 25 to 45-year-olds.
I think that's a great one.
It is.
If I could grant everybody the ability to focus 90% of their time on the windshield, not the rearview mirror, but the windshield. The only way we're going to fix a lot of these challenges is to grow our way out of it. You can't grow your way out of it out of fussing and cussing. I cleaned that up a little bit.
I love it.
You have to see the opportunities. One thing I want to put back in play here is, I've been here 3 years. We've lost 5 times. And when I say lost, we came in second 5 times to billion-dollar, 1,000-job projects. We're not sitting there whining and fussing about it. We're figuring out why we lost, what we can do to get ready to win next time, because it will come. And so you got to focus on the windshield. If I could grant that to everybody, it'd be a better tomorrow.
Wow, very impressive. So one of the qualities of all successful business people, and I include everyone in this room in that, is knowing when something is a good deal and absolutely jumping on it when the time is right. And the deal is great, and the time is right to subscribe to the Shreveport-Bossier City Advocate. Did that just come at you out of left field? Was that smooth or was that smooth? Thank you so much. If you are in the room or if you're watching online, you can get it for $12. $12. What is in your wallet right now?
Nothing.
No wonder you were at the our snack bar
I
before
had
this
$12
thing
the other
started.
day, but I subscribed.
Oh, well, thank you. I love this guy. He is just, you can get it everything for $12. You get your news, your sports, your business, everything that's going on in the community. I would encourage you to participate in making great journalism local journalism. So thank you all for my pitch, which is very heartfelt, quite honestly. I've got to tell you that. I don't want a single person to walk out of the doors today or be watching online and not subscribing to our newsletters that come out every day. Our newsletter, that is all the news of the community, comes out every morning, really early in the morning. So when you wake up, you've got it. In the business newsletter is Tuesday and Friday. Comes out about 10 o'clock in the morning. And I want to thank these three up here. Goodness gracious, they have had me spellbound. It's been a great conversation. Justyn Dixon, thank you so much for everything that you've done for your 3 years here, and may there be many more. And if you don't have any money in your wallet, I'll spot you $1 or $2 before you leave, just, so you'll have a little carry-in cash with you. Doug White has been, very important to our community and will continue to be, because the numbers do matter. And it's like, if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. If you don't know the numbers, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. So thank you very much for that. And Brenda, for your very long tenure and your love of small businesses and startups and entrepreneurs. Brenda Guess from LED for coming. She gets the award for traveling the farthest. So thank you very much for coming up. Thank you for your input and your participation and your love of small business. And for all of you for being here, and for all of you for watching, thank you so much. I'm Liz Swain with the Shreveport-Bossier City Advocate, and this has been our very first, but hopefully not our last, Economic Summit.